What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Today I'm going to give you guys a guide as best I can on how you should combat against the Agent Archetype and give you tips on how you can beat this deck and make sure that you're well prepared when you play against it, because if you're playing competitively this format, you definitely are. It's a tier 1 deck. I don't think it's going anywhere. It got a lot of boost from recent sets and from the ban list, and yeah, if you don't understand the title, it's basically a play on words on a really good anime that I like called Neon Genesis Evangelion. So just either Google that or watch the anime or something and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So, okay. So first off, I'm going to talk about Agents last format versus this format. Agents was a deck that was almost their last format. I had tested it. What I found was you just get too many monster clumped hands. And oftentimes you could get cards that just had no synergy with the other cards in your hand that you needed. But in this format, with the release of XYZ's, the deck definitely has more power because Shine Balls get basically a lot more versatile. Instead of just having the Trishula play with Birdman, now you can make stuff like Gachi Gachi, and you can make all your other cards bigger. In addition, now you add Tour Guide to the deck, and the deck can easily, go Tour Guide, make Levier, Sarko for Venus, and then you have your Venus pulled straight from the deck, and you can combo like that. So the deck definitely got more consistent with Generation Force. One thing that is of note that you really have to take notice of is the boss monsters. You have Chrissy, Hyperion, and Blackluster Soldier. And you could even give an honorable mention to like Gores and Trigodia, but just those three are just all game-breaking cards. BLS, who is a potential double attacker who's going to be a +1 every time it hits the field. Hyperion is the same exact way. He's basically a little Dark Arm Dragon. And the thing about Hyperion is that you got to notice is you can remove something from the graveyard, so it's really easy to summon. You don't have to remove something from the field. Same thing about Chrissy. She's a little bit harder to summon, but once she gets on the field, she's without a doubt the hardest to kill out of the three. Her attack is outrageous, and you can't special summon to get over her. Not to mention she adds a fairy, so a lot of people will get Hyperion or something like that. So even if you do kill the Chrissy, they'll just drop Hyperion on you again. The way you're going to want to combat these cards is with cards like Thunder King Rio and Kaiku, which just aren't good against agents. They're just good cards in general. Thunder King Rio can negate the summon of all three of them since they're all inherent summons. It can also shut down things like Earth and potentially Pot Duality for them, to stop them from searching cards. So Thunder King Rio is always a great answer to pretty much most of the decks in the format. And then Kaiku is a card that is really under the radar. I think it's picking up steam now, but it stops BLS from being summoned. It stops Hyperion from being summoned when your opponent would remove something from the graveyard. At the very least, it stops Hyperion's effect. And then with Archlord Chrissy, you have to think, if you hit your opponent with Kaiku once or twice, they're probably never going to get enough fairies in the graveyard to actually drop Chrissy. Another thing you want to remember about agents is their hand defense. I think Plant Synchro, one of the biggest reasons that it was good last format is it didn't have to commit a lot of cards to the field because its hand defense was amazing. Well, not only does this deck do all that, but it does it so much better when you add things like Herald of the Orange Light, which can be used in the damage step. So in addition, I already said about Honest, so this it can protect itself from battle even when it has a monster on the field in case you want to try and win by doing damage. Also, Trago and Gorge. Trago is even better now this format than it was last format because now you can copy a level in your graveyard and you can exceed in addition to the synchroing that you could already do. So Trago is even more effective and it's at 2. So this is a deck where you really have to watch out if they are leaving their field open but they have multiple cards in their hand. You have to watch how you play them. Don't put all your eggs in one basket on one effect or something like that, because if they Veiler or they Orange Light, they're probably just going to come back, get all the momentum, and win. Some really good cards against this deck that you can use to prevent all those hand shenanigans. Number one, Mind Crush. If you make the right reads, or you feel like they duality into a card, or even if you don't want to use it on one of those cards because you're not sure that they have it, you can always Mind Crush when they go for Earth or something like that. Or if they bounce their Honest back to their hand, you know that they have the Honest. Another card that I am absolutely loving right now is Debunk. In certain decks where they constantly send stuff to the graveyard and it activates, like zombies, you want to use it for that effect. But against a deck like this, you want to use it because it disrupts all those hand effects. So Gorge, Trago, Honest, Orange Light, Valor. None of those guys will get their effects from the hand because Debunk will shut all of that down, and it can really disrupt their defense. And speaking of defenses, the last thing I want to talk about is this deck's deficiency when it comes to traps. In my opinion, one of the best things to do is stack your own traps against them, because you really don't have to worry about them solemning your card, or setting toolsing, or just having any actual ways of stopping traps. They have many ways of stopping effects and battle tricks, but as far as stopping your traps, they don't really have an answer for that. That's one of the biggest ways you can get up against this deck with a Light Imprisoning Mirror or Debunks or a Mind Crush, is by siding in more traps, taking out cards like Mystical Space Typhoons, which is not going to be an effective card against agents. So if you guys have any questions or you have any opinions on my video, you felt like I left out cards, so thanks for watching, and let me know what you guys think.